Have you ever wondered what an in-depth tier list would look like of the top 20 distilleries? Well, let's find out. What is going on, everybody? Nathan here with the Everyday Drinker, but he has a brand new video. Today, we're sitting down and we are going to be ranking the top 20 bourbon distilleries and putting them on a tier list from S tier all the way down to F. Now, I don't personally think there are going to be any F class distilleries out there, but when we dive into these distilleries, maybe, just maybe, there might be one. Now, hope you guys enjoyed this one. Make sure you guys drop that like, smash that subscribe button. We're on the road to 15,000 subscribers. Leave a comment down below on after this video if you think my tier list would be in line with yours. But without further ado, let's get into the video. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, we've got the top 20 bourbon distilleries on the bottom of your screen, and we've got tiers from F all the way to S. Now, what we're going to be doing is ranking these distilleries with their releases, their limited releases, and also the availability of these bottles that most people can probably get their hands on them. We're going to be starting off right here with New Riff. Now, New Riff, you know, the availability of these bottles is great. They do a lot of distillery-only releases, but they are most of the time affordable. They're very affordable for what they have to offer. Their new 8-year stuff, I think, is like in that $65 to $70 range, but they're not offering a lot of their limited release items nationwide. So for that, I think I have to put New Riff in B class. Now, you guys might say, I don't have a single bottle of New Riff. I don't own a single bottle of New Riff, but what I have had is a lot of samples of New Riff, and I love a lot of the New Riff offerings that I've had. Yeah, New Riff in B class. Let me know in the comments below if you would agree with any of or disagree with any of these distilleries in their respective ranks that I put them in. Next up, we've got Rabbit Hole. Now, Rabbit Hole is one of those hard to classify distilleries for me because they do a lot of finishing things. Their barrel-proof single barrel offerings are up there in price. I don't really like a lot of their offerings, and I know a lot of you are iffy on them as well. For me, I'm going to just immediately put Rabbit Hole in D class. It's not because of the whiskey itself, it's because they don't offer a lot more than what it is. Now, you could go as far as say that goes to show that they're sticking to what they offer, and what they offer is good, but I want to see some more variety from Rabbit Hole, and that's why they're in D tier. Next up, we've got Jim Beam, one of the big name offerings out there right now. You've got Knob Creek all the way to, you know, so many different offerings from Jim Beam. I love Jim Beam as a whole. I'm immediately putting Jim Beam in A tier solely due to the fact that they have so many different offerings and something for everybody. You know, you've got barrel-proof Bookers, you've got your 100-proof Knob Creek offerings, and things all in the middle and above and below that. Next up, Maker's Mark. Maker's Mark is, again, going to get that B tier class for me because you've got so many different offerings. You know, you can do so many different single barrel offerings from Maker's Mark, and you know, their barrel proof cask strength 46, their cask strength just regular offering, the cask strength 40 or the regular 46, all the way to their wood finished series offerings are absolutely incredible in my personal opinion, and that's why Maker's Mark is getting that B tier. Next up, we're looking at Four Roses. Now, Four Roses for me, I'm immediately putting in C tier. I've had some samples from Four Roses. I haven't really loved anything Four Roses brand. Now, their new 100-proof single barrel offerings that go into their other mash bills and things along those lines, those can be pretty interesting. I haven't really dove into those, but the single barrel, like barrel-proof single barrel offerings that I've personally had, I have not been the biggest fan of, and I haven't found a recipe that is my calling. And for that, I'm putting Four Roses in C tier only because they do offer a lot, but it's not quite my cup of tea. Next up, we've got Heaven Hill, and we've got, you've got Elijah Craig, you've got Larceny, you've got Henry McKenna. You've got so many different offerings from Heaven Hill, even just their William Heaven Hill offerings, those 13, 14, 15-year-old distillery only releases. I have to put Heaven Hill in S tier. This is our first S tier because they come out with good offerings, sometimes hitting those banger offerings. Actually, you know what? I'm dropping Heaven Hill to A tier because I feel like the good offerings outweigh the banger offerings. And if they're the banger offerings outweighed the good offerings, then it would be S tier. But I'm moving Heaven Hill down to A tier solely because of that fact. But they do have some really, really, really good offerings. Next up, we're looking at Jack Daniels. And I could put Jack Daniels in A tier. I could put it in B tier, but I think that when you branch off of the Jack Daniel, I personally like the single barrel proofs. I'm not the biggest fan of the Coit Hill. I absolutely love the 10, 12, and 14 year. Absolutely insane bottles offerings. But when you look at the Jack Daniel's barrel proof rye, incredible offering. When you look at their other limited releases that they do, like the twice barreled and things along those lines, those have been really, really good offerings. And for that fact, I have to put Jack Daniels in the S tier because that is where it belongs. You could say it's not bourbon. You could say it is bourbon. For me, I'm going to say it's bourbon. Jack Daniels bourbon and the rye S tier offering for sure from the Jack Daniels Distillery. Next up, Sagamore. Sagamore has one of my absolute favorite under 100 proof whiskeys, and that's the double oaked rye. Other than that, I've had some other offerings from Sagamore that just weren't it. They're not bad, but they're not incredible. And for that, I think that is a strict B class kind of distillery, putting out really good stuff, but sometimes other things just don't hit specifically. So for that, I've got to put it at B. Here is where we're moving into something that I think could fall into F. And we're looking at the new Castle and Key. I have not enjoyed a single release since the first one from Castle and Key. I've had samples, I've had bottles, and I've thought about doing reviews of them and things along those lines. The rye, somewhat okay, not incredible, but I don't think I can heartfully put it in F. I think this is going to be our second D tier going to Castle and Key because the offerings just have not been what I would expect from supposed high tier distillery like Castle and Key. Let's get a sip of whiskey here. Next up, we're looking at Willet. And Willet, when you're looking at, the pot still, just not it. I know they're starting to add in their own distillate in those, and maybe it's gotten a little bit better. But when you look at Willet as a whole, they've got incredible rye recipes, incredible bourbon recipes. The purple tops and the green tops are absolutely incredible 99% of the time. And for what Willet has to offer, they are also going to be going into A tier because that is where they belong. They're not an S tier, but they're not putting out run-of-the-mill stuff. They're a little bit more higher sought after than Sagamore, Maker's Mark, and New Riff, and I just can't justify putting Willet in the B tier. Next up, we've got 1792, and you guys know that 1792 puts out some banger bottles. And for me personally, I have to put 1792 in the B tier, only because my two favorites out of the 6 or 7 offerings that they have are the full proof and the just straight single barrel. The bottle and bond, not my favorite thing. The small batch is okay. The sweet wheat, it wasn't what I thought it would be. The age 12 years was okay. High rye, okay. But when you look at those two offerings from that I personally enjoy from 1792, the single barrel and the full proof, I think that those just elevate it a little bit more and put it in that B tier, and I just couldn't justify putting it in C tier. Next up, one of my absolute favorites, Bardstown. I have to put Bardstown in S tier for what they have accomplished as a distillery right here, right now. The distillery is absolutely beautiful. The bottles that they are releasing, from the Origin series to the Discovery to what they used to do with Diffusion into their collaboration series and their experimental series, they are putting out some of the best bourbons and ryes and whiskeys on the market today that are affordable and findable and consumable. And for that, Bardstown is our second S tier release distillery on this list right here, right now. I'm going to move back in. That is some good stuff. Wilderness Trail. Wilderness Trail was one of those first distilleries, the first distillery I did a single barrel pick with the Central Jersey Bourbon Society. We also were able to release some of those barrels and cases for the Patreon, which we're also going to be doing a word from today's sponsor right now. Today's sponsor is none other than the Everyday Drinker Patreon. That's right. I don't know how he's able to do it, but he's doing him, and I'm proud of it. If you guys are interested in joining an amazing community, for as little as $2 a month, you get in on some amazing, amazing things. We're doing Patreon-only live streams starting this month. We are doing an incredible Discord chat that so many people are a part of. If you want the Cedar Ridge pick, it is dropping here within the next couple of months. We got the go-ahead. It is getting bottled within the next couple of weeks. If you want the Eagle Rare store pick that I was a part of picking, we're getting a select few amount of cases. You got to get a Cedar Ridge pick to get the Eagle Rare pick. And we've got so many more fun things dropping here on the Patreon that you don't want to miss. And I hope you all join in on the fun. But let's get back to the video. But now that we're back, Wilderness Trail, I think Wilderness Trail gets a solid C. I love the 6-year. I love the 8-year. I love their weeded bourbon, but the high rye bourbon, not the biggest fan of. The barrel proof single barrels are somewhat decent. You know, they sourced a lot of their stuff. I mean, they made a lot of stuff for a lot of other distilleries and things along those lines. And they're really good whiskey, but I want to see more from them. And I don't know if we're actually going to be seeing more from them. I don't know what where Wilderness Trail sits at right here, right now, today in 2025. But yeah, that's what Wilderness Trail is going to be falling in. Right next, we've got Barrel. And Barrel is going to be, I think, the only blendery that we've got on this list. And Barrel offers some really, really good stuff, from their batches to their limited releases. The gray labels, in my personal opinion, are a little bit high priced for what they are to offer. The foundation for $55 is incredible. What are we looking at? Their cask finish series, incredible. Their new batch 37 is impeccable. One of the best batches that I've had. So I can't put Barrel in S, only because their high price stuff I just don't think is worth it. But their not run of the mill, but their batches and things along those lines, I think quantifies them to be in the A tier. We've jarred down to our last 6. Still Austin, incredible distillery, releasing some really great Texas whiskey. I have to put Still Austin in A tier, just solely due to the fact that they are the best Texas distillate distillery out there on the market right here, right now. From their red corn to their blue corn, to their bottled and bond stuff, to their cask strength stuff, to the Tanager. Hopefully we get another one this year. But absolutely love everything coming from Still Austin, 100%. Next up, Old Forester. I think I have to put Old Forester in S tier for the releases that they do. Birthday Bourbon's great. The 100 proof single barrels are one of my absolute favorites. The the blue labels are pretty darn good. And then when you look at just the consistency of the whiskey row, I think that puts Old Forester in that S tier class, in my personal opinion. Let me know if you think I'm crazy for that down in the comments below. But next up, Woodford Reserve. I've only really enjoyed one offering from Woodford Reserve, and that's the double oaked. I don't really particularly enjoy Woodford Reserve as its own. I don't think it's worth 40, 45 bucks. Double oaked, 50 bucks is the max I'd spend on it. I have not enjoyed the double oak. I didn't enjoy any of their cask strength offerings. We'll see what happens with Woodford Reserve with their single barrel program. But for that, you guys are going to call me out on this and say I'm crazy, but I do think that this is the only F tier distillery out there. I don't think that Woodford Reserve is anything up to standards with, Four Roses, Wilderness Trail, Rabbit Hole. I think the whiskey itself is better than Woodford Reserve. I'm moving Castle and Key down to F tier as well. Looking at this, I think that they are on par with each other, and they just don't have what it takes to be anything better than where they are. I had to move Castle and Key down to F tier after looking at what I was talking about with Woodford Reserve. Castle and Key moved down to F tier. Ross and Squibb, which is formerly known as MGP. I had to put it in B tier. I have to put it in B tier because of just the sheer amount of whiskey that they produce and distill for other people to then take and blend and do things with and sell so many barrels. The consistency of Ross and Squibb and MGP is uncanny. You can't say it's not. But what I will say is sometimes the whiskey is just not as good as other distillates out there. And that's why I think Ross and Squibb, for what they produce and how much they produce, gets them the B tier. But the quality of the whiskey could be a little bit better. And if it was, it would probably be an A tier. We're into the two top big dogs here. And we're looking at Buffalo Trace here first. A lot of you guys would say, Buffalo Trace, the whiskey, the distillery doesn't deserve anything higher than in a C tier because of the limited releases and the prices and things along those lines. But for the sheer size of Buffalo Trace, the amount of whiskey that they produce, the consistency of what they produce, and the drinkability, the enjoyability, the amount of great bottles that they do produce, we always are going to be hunting Buffalo Trace. Sorry, pardon me. I have to put Buffalo Trace in S tier. It deserves that S tier mark with, even though the amount of high allocated bottles like, Ewer 2025, the new Colonel E.H. Taylor release that they just did, they're hard to come by. They're absolutely overpriced, but they're one of the only distilleries out there producing high-aged bourbon like that for you to, if you had the money, to go out there and pick up and enjoy. I'm not saying that it's worth it, but I'm saying it's out there for you if you wanted to. And there's other distilleries on this list that don't offer that. And to be able to offer that says something in it of itself. And we're moving into what my favorite distillery is, Wild Turkey. And we're putting it right up there as well with Buffalo Trace, Old Forester, Bardstown, and Jack Daniels because that is where it belongs. Wild Turkey, Russell's Reserve, both the same and both incredible offerings from Wild Turkey 101 at 28 bucks all the way up to what we just got last year as Russell's 15, which was the bourbon of the year. Incredible releases. Prices are going up slowly and steadily, which is a shame. I wish it didn't. They just released their highest proof offering ever with this new batch of Russell's 13. We'll see what they come out with. Hopefully they come out with another higher aged offering. But just from, the run-of-the-mill Wild Turkey to the Russell's Private Selects at 110 proof to things in that same general vicinity of what Wild Turkey and Russell's Reserve offers, that is where that falls for me as S tier. Let me know what you guys think about this list down in the comments below. If you think that this is absolutely insane, if you think that this is top tier, because in my personal opinion, I think it is top tier. But hope you guys enjoyed this one. Until next time, this has been Nathan with The Everyday Drinker. Cheers.